everybody, welcome my darlings. I am super excited today because 1, we're reading Yandere/6 listener. 2, school is over for me, darlings. So I am beyond excited, but I'm holding it in right now. I'm holding it in, trying to. Oh, and also, side note as well, I literally just finished watching Jujutsu Kaisen movie 0. Oh my gosh, it is so good. You guys should definitely watch Jujutsu Kaisen. Anywho, with me ranting, blah, 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 apologies. Basically, let's get a quick summary of what happened before we get started and pushed into this one. So basically, we are spending time with Jason, and while we spend time with Jason, he discovers that we kind of got blackmailed into living with Hannibal, Mikael, and Kruger and Norman. Yeah, I kind of got blackmailed into that, and he got super angry and started fighting and whatnot. Eventually, she made them leave and made a promise to Norman. Little do we know that Norman, or we do know, that Norman is unbeknownstly manipulating her to come back to them more often, which causes her to get more attached and more of her walls to crumble more, which is manipulation tactic. And basically she spends the rest of her time with Jason, talking about random things. I Spy with My Little Eye, they were playing that, and she was just generally hanging out with Jason, doing what she usually does, and then we're left off with her looking outside and seeing that it's almost evening, which is when she's supposed to go. Well, she promised to go back. That is our short kind of recap. Anyways, without further more delay, let's get straight into it. Hey y'all, and also as now per usual, Icy's gonna be on in the background. Hopefully y'all don't mind. Anyways, chapter 48, returning home. Hey, Jason? You called his name awkwardly, shifting from foot to foot as he turned to face you. The child-minded killer tilted his head like a cute little kid while he waited for you to continue speaking. It's time for me to go now. You brought up the touchy subject timidly, knowing it would set him off in some degree. And you were right. The slasher shaking his head and releasing a sound of fury. No! He stomped on the floor with clenched fist, his vicious temper flaring up and unsettling you a bit. You're not going anywhere. You heard the promise I made to Hannibal, Norman, and Mikael, you reminded Jason with a sigh, trying to make him recall the earlier events and see reason. Remember? I told him I'd be back by early evening. Not fair. Tears welled up in the killer's eyes, and you panicked, deliberating on what you should say. Don't worry, I'll visit you real soon, you assured him in alarm, wrapping your arms around his body and pulling him into a soft hug of your own. Like, real soon. So soon you won't even be able to notice how long it was. Really? Jason looked at you with a sad gaze, grasping your shoulders before hiding his face on top of one of them. In fact, you paused for a split second to move away and hold his shoulders instead, reaching up to delicately kiss the male on the cheek. That's a promise. It means that I'll be back before you know it. Thankfully for you, that little pick on the side of his face caused Jason to brighten up considerably. The hockey masked killer eyes now glimmering with glee. Thank you, he explained excitedly, flinging his arms around you and cuddling you as close as he could. No problem. You rubbed the sides of his arms comfortingly. Right? No, I said that wrong. Relieved that he'd now completely changed his mindset. But I really have to leave now, Jason. Okay. Jason responded in a slightly disappointed tone, letting go and releasing you from said hug. I love you, YN. You hesitated for a moment. A faint shade of pink coloring your cheeks whilst you questioned on what to say back. Should you? I love you too. I'll see you around. Take care of yourself, Jason told you protectively, both of you exiting the cabin before he engulfed you in one last embrace. You take care of yourself too. You patted his back and then broke away, flashing him an honest and warm smile as you began to walk away from the camp. After waving, you left Camp Crystal Lake entirely and started making your way back to your supposed home. Exhaustion washing through your body whilst you stifled a tiny yawn. Despite Jason's random and bizarre mood swings, you'd actually rather enjoyed yourself at Camp Crystal Lake. Happy that the time you spent with him was relatively normal. Sure, he thought like a child from time to time, but that didn't bother you. Not really. You were just grateful you hadn't caught up in the hit and miss reverse harem drama so far. At least, not yet. In an hour, though, a surprised squeak slipped through your lips when two arms wrapped around your waist and forced you into a hug from behind. Their quiet but heavy breaths sounding very familiar to you. Mikael? You huffed, placing a hand on your heart and trying your best to remain calm. Don't scare me like that. Of course, you didn't receive any sort of reply. So you rolled your eyes and sighed softly. Your cheeks still flushed for some strange reason. I thought you'd be back at home. Have you been waiting for me all this time? Just for me? You questioned with confusion, turning around and looking at him curiously. Mikael merely nodded, whipping out his trusty notepad from his pocket so he could communicate in a better way. I missed you, YN, I missed you. Yeah, I missed you too. You avoided his obsessive stare and attempted to pacify your unstable heartbeat, the scare and the sudden hug definitely being the source of it. Right? It had to be. Anyway, I think we should head home now, don't you think? Before you could finish your sentence, the stalker shoved the notepad back into his boiler suit's pocket and cradled one side of your face with his hand, pulling part of his mask up with the other. What was he? You didn't even have time to think rationally. Mikael firmly pressing his mouth against yours without a second thought. His mind completely being controlled by love and lust. Was this because he watched you kiss Jason on the cheek? Or was this empty because he missed you and yearned for your company that much? You couldn't come to a conclusion. Was that for? You weakly wondered, your lips brushing against his while you spoke with a flushed face. I was only gone for the afternoon, so you didn't need to wait. I could have just stayed at the house. Maybe so, but I love you so much that I will never leave your side, even if you were to reject me. Once again, the notepad was back in his hands after you two moved apart slightly. The possessive words written on it caused several chills to slither down your spine. I see. In fact, his words were forcing you to feel rather uneasy. So you tucked a strand of hair behind your ear and bit your lip a little. Like I was going to say before, I think I'm going to head home now. Mikael nodded and remained as close to your side as possible. The two of you walking down the trail that led away from Camp Crystal Lake and staying silent the entire time. It wasn't because you were moody or anything like that. It was merely because you had no idea what to say. Should you ask what he was doing whilst he was alone? Or perhaps you should bring out what you've done during the afternoon. Mikael, what did you do? What did you do that for? Honestly, Mikael, jealousy isn't attractive, you know. Hannibal's words echoed around your thoughts. You deciding you wouldn't talk about said subject after all. Half an hour passed before you approached the house, giving a polite knock on the door and waiting for someone to answer. Oh, YN. Hannibal opened the door and greeted you pleasantly, a genuine smile spreading across his face this time around. Welcome home, my darling. Oh, thank you. You gently smiled back, entering the house as you felt unexpectedly calm and collected. How are you doing? I'm perfectly fine, dearest. How about yourself? He replied in a respectful tone, holding the sides of your waist with both hands and leaning his head lightly against yours. Everything's all right with you? All right. You try to hide your embarrassment, the tender embrace increasing by the second and therefore making it immensely more difficult. Really? That's excellent. I am so glad to hear that. The psychiatrist's warm smile widened, your heartbeat accelerating and flying out of control because of the current intimacy. Now, why don't we get you something to eat? After all, you skipped lunch, did you not? And it's not very healthy to skip meals, mi amor. I guess you have a point there. You shyly nodded, your heart calming down once he pulled away and held your hand instead. Food sounds so good right about now. Exactly. So if you just head in the dining room, I'd be more than happy to prepare you some. Oh, you don't have to do that. I don't mind making it myself. He spoke in a bashful tone of voice. After all, you've done so much for me already. YN! Another familiar voice called your name eagerly, the both of you whirling around and seeing Norman standing in the middle of the hallway, his expression one of delight. You're back? You're really back? Yeah, you replied hesitantly, managing to not jump as the green-haired teen rushed towards you and engulfed you in a massive hug. Norman obviously missed you. I said I would be, didn't I? So here I am. Unbeknownst to you, Mikael was seething with jealousy. Nothing more than to rip you away from Norman and start another fight. But Hannibal placed a hand on his chest and silently shook his head, mouthing something to him with an emotionless expression. The stalker didn't respond. Instead, he just slipped his kitchen knife back into his pocket and taking a step back to soothe his frustration. Norman didn't even notice, happily chatting to you and pulling you into the dining room without giving you a time to argue, too overjoyed to think twice about it. You did! Norman clapped his hands together, similar to how Mikael had acted earlier, and his behavior made you smile, finding the timid teen to be cute. Aw, that's cute. 49. Dinner time. I did indeed. You let out a light laugh, sitting down at the table as Norman did the same, sitting right next to you. So try not to be so worried next time, okay? Okay. Norman's expression melted into one of melancholy, his sudden sadness making you feel bad almost immediately. It was like you've severely scolded him, which wasn't what you were going for at all. I'm not telling you off or anything, you quickly assured him, wanting his boo to switch back. All I was saying was that you shouldn't grow so upset. I mean, this is where I live now, right? I'll always come back. Me? No. Norman simply stared at the floor, his dejected eyes only forcing you to feel worse. You promise? He mumbled while grasping at your shirt with both hands. Uh-huh. You tried to answer with a fake happy face, but he seemed to pick up on the pretended optimism, his sadness sparking even higher. I mean, of course I promise. No. See? Hannibal quietly murmured to Mikael, the both of them still standing in the hall. I told you Norman would be a good piece to use in this complex and complicated game. The mute killer merely nodded, having understood Hannibal's words by this point. What words exactly? Don't. Norman's clinginess and constant need for attention is an essential factor in what we're trying to accomplish. He can unknowingly play on her empathetic mindset and guilt trip her relentlessly. Yay, thank you, YN. Norman's facial features brightened almost immediately, flinging his arms around you and resting his head on top of your shoulder. I knew it. I knew you were super nice. Even Mother agrees. No problem? You were a little confused by what just happened, but decided to drop it, coming to the conclusion that it wasn't that big of a deal anyway. I'm glad that you think I'm nice, that your mother agrees. Okay, so I kind of want to stop here for about a second or two. In psychology class, don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert. I'm not in psychology class yet. I'm taking psychology class whenever school starts again. But I just got into summer, so, please comprendeme. So, Don't they teach stuff about this? Like, I know we are a smart and intelligent person in the story, but why not use it for something like this? Like, you might not notice it, but I mean, this is some type of manipulation. I think in our minds, in our big brains, I think we would notice that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think we would notice that. But somehow we don't. I don't know. Y'all let me know why. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. But Mikael entered the dining room next, standing in the corner of the dining room as he just started to just stalk you. Mikael? You called his name uncomfortably. Aren't you going to sit down too? Mikael doesn't sit down at the table. Norman informed you on Mikael's behalf coldly. The stalker shaking his head as an answer to your question. He never eats. Oh, I see. You dipped your head once again as you received your uneasy answer. Minutes ticking by like seconds whilst you wondered when food would be ready. Relief flooded your veins when Hannibal finally brought in the lovely-looking cuisine and flashed you a pleasant smile. I do hope you like what I prepared for tonight's meal. I'm not going to say that it's really long, but I know it says my flower or something like that, so my flower. He spoke with an incredibly polite attitude, placing down plates of food with the utmost of care, since I still haven't learned your difference along with what you disapprove of. Glancing down, you saw that he'd made some sort of meat dish. The heavenly scent drifting upwards as you inhaled it faintly. Oh, please don't worry. I try my best not to be particularly picky. Besides, this looks absolutely delicious. You warmly replied, wanting to sound as grateful as humanly possible, because you were grateful. So, thank you. Thank you very much. Uh-oh. You were so thankful that in fact you didn't see Norman throw an afraid look in both Mikael and Hannibal's direction, clearly stressed out over something. I'm delighted to hear that, and it's no problem. I mean, no trouble. No trouble at all, my dearest YN. Hannibal ignored Norman's alarmed face and carried on talking to you, not concerned in the slightest. I'm curious, though. What exactly is this meat made of? You curiously inquired, confused and a bit taken aback by Norman's reaction. His cutlery clattering onto the table as his eyes widened in panic. What the? Oh, this? Hannibal glanced down for a second casually. This is just a prime rib served with fresh herb sauce. It is typically cooked for special occasions, but I enjoy the culinary arts and tend to grow a little overexcited. His smoothly spoken explanation made your stomach quietly grumble, but luckily no one seemed to have heard it. Well, your overexcitement is turning out to be really yummy, you cheerfully complimented, after taking a bite and enjoying the tasty flavor. Uh-oh. I appreciate the kind words, Hannibal pleasantly responded, sitting himself down and acting like a real gentleman. Mikael, for whatever reason, stormed forwards and gripped Norman by the neck, holding him in the air as he shook him roughly. Mikael! You gasped in shock, not expecting the killer to behave so violently. What are you doing? Let go of... Norman choked out hatefully, clawing at Mikael's hand with both of his while he tried his best to escape from the silent stalker's grasp. Mikael? Hannibal sighed in expiration, standing up again and planning to step in. There's no need for this. Before the psychiatrist could do anything, you stepped in first, shoving Mikael to the side and pulling Norman closer to you via his shoulder. Are you alright? You asked the dark-haired boy worriedly, seeing him rub his throat and taking several deep breaths. I'm fine. Norman shot you a weak smile and sat back down, slowly recovering from the sudden act of aggression. What the hell was that for? You shouted at Mikael in the heat of the moment, completely losing your composure and becoming angry at the silent male instead. He didn't even do anything. Now Norman may not be able to... Now Norman may not may not be the most socially adept of people, but he's nice, kind, and dependable. YN? Norman stuttered your name shyly, surprise spreading across his face as he felt nothing but awe and affection. What do you even know about someone like that? You continue sharply, eyeing Mikhail with an actual glare. He's not the perfect little sissy boy you're making him out to be. He's almost spilled something important like an absolute idiot. After he scribbled down a response and passed you a small notepad of his, you shook your head, still frustrated. I don't care. You almost strangled someone to death just because they might have sown subtle signs of a secret. You scolded him severely, tossing it back as you stared him down. There. My words. Sorry, my English. Mikhail just returned the stare unfeelingly, though you could see tiny traces of emotion whirling around in his dark brown orbs. Frustration, anger, hurt, obsession. But despite all of that, he didn't say a single word. Not one. He just gave a frigid shake of the head and left the room, his footsteps silent as he did so. Your anger died down a minute or two later, feeling a tad bit guilty at your outburst. You rarely exploded like that. In fact, you preferred to just snap at people or roll your eyes. Things like that. Were you a little too harsh on him? Maybe you should apologize. YN? Hannibal called your name calmly, stepping around the table and gently placing a hand on your shoulder. Are you alright? Or do you perhaps need a minute? No, You softly shook your head, dazed. I'm fine. I'm sorry I lost my temper the way I did. I should probably find him. I think you should finish eating first. Mikara? I don't know what that means, but I think it means cariño, like my love or something. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. Besides, Hannibal paused for a moment, an amused expression plastered across his face instead of his usual one. I personally believe that people get served what they deserve, so in my mind, you've got nothing to worry about. I agree, Norman chimed in. I didn't do what I did. I didn't do what I did on purpose. You just stood up for me because you're so sweet and so lovely. Biting your lip, you gave a hesitant nod of your head and allowed Hannibal to guide you back to your seat, therefore returning to your food. So let's forget about that chaotic moment for now and satisfy our hunger instead. He attempted to direct your attention away from Mikhail and towards himself and Norman instead, obviously wanting to soothe you somehow. And in your mind, that was rather sweet. For all you know, Mikhail might have deserved that scolding. Whatever. So what I'm getting from here is that my guy really went, nah, don't worry about him. He cool. Oh, yeah. Chapter 50. Damn, we're far. Chapter 50. Lasting shock. Thank you for the delicious dinner, Hannibal. You thanked the psychiatrist gratefully, wiping your mouth with the napkin that was to the side of your plate. It really did calm me down and soothe my hunger. Anytime. Hannibal warmly smiled, standing up as he presumably intended to take your plate to the kitchen for you. Oh, you don't have to do that. You've done so much for me already. You quickly picked up your plate and felt slightly bad, both because of Mikhail and because you hadn't really done much to contribute around the house. I really don't mind helping out more. You're so sweet, YN. Norman explained in adoration, clasping his hands together while you picked up his plate too. Indeed, you're not the only lovely-looking person on the eyes, but you're extremely thoughtful as well. Hannibal complimented kindly, his smile widening as you took his plate also. Thank you very much, mi tesoro. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all. You assured them with a smile of your own, heading into the hallway and towards the kitchen. Of course. Norman tagged along behind you like a little lost puppy. A joyful smile plastered on his face as he just won the lottery or something along those lines. Hey, YN? He timidly called your name, his cheeks fading into a soft pink color whilst you both entered the kitchen. Can I ask you something? Go ahead, you lightly replied, placing the plates into the poultry in the sink and turning on the tap while you waited for said question. Now that we're dating, and could I sleep with you tonight? Norman's face flushed bright pink after asking that. Surprise watching over your face due to the fact that you didn't expect such a bold request to come from the bashful boy. Sleep with me? You almost dropped the plate you were holding, to your surprise, twisting into shock as your eyes widened to the size of saucers. Why would you want to? Because I love you, he shyly answered, drying the now clean dishes and returning them to their original places. Well, You struggled to come up with a response, a heavy blush now painting your cheeks while you washed your hands. You struggled to come up with a response, a heavy blush now painting your cheeks while you washed your hands. I've never slept with a boy before, so I don't think that's a good of an idea. I promise I won't try any funny business. Norman blurted out, hurriedly promised, the desperate gleam in his gaze combined with his pleading facial features, causing your defense to crumble a tad, more like the whole wall. It's not that I don't trust you, Norman, you said awkwardly, drying your hands and biting your lip as you faced him properly. I guess we don't have to. His face faltered, and so the dark-haired male became upset, tears pricking at the corner of his eyes once he tried to stop them. It just, it's lonely sleeping alone, Well, you couldn't form an actual reply, guilt swirling around your stomach as you felt even worse. Would it be that bad? I just thought, because you're always so nice, you might want to. Norman's voice trickled into nothing more than a whisper in the near end. His sentimental attitude messing with your mindset and affecting your heart. Okay. You sighed and gave in. Norman's unexpected and clinging hug causing a faint smile to spread across your face while you patted his back. Fine, but no funny business, and I can't guarantee every night. His whole expression suddenly changed. Norman's eyes now shining with happiness as he began to beam. Thank you so much, Mayan. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Trust me, I think I can tell. You dryly spoke, breaking the hug and heading into the hallway. All that aside, I think I'm gonna go take a bath now, so if you'll excuse me. Oh, right. Norman also went into the hallway but didn't follow you upstairs. Enjoy your bath, Mayan. Thank you. You flashed him a friendly smile and then walked into your bedroom, grabbing a pair of fresh pajamas before walking into the bathroom instead. Placing the pajamas on the top of the shut toilet seat, you turned the bathroom tap on and waited for the water to fill up, humming to yourself as you noticed a bottle of lavender-scented bubble baths. Using a few drops that would be extremely relaxing whilst taking a bath. But would Hannibal and the others mind? Freddy certainly would. Mikael was somewhere else right now. Jason didn't even live here, but Hannibal and Norman. Perhaps you should ask him before you use some. That was the polite thing to do. So, after carefully plucking the bottle down from the shelf, you cleared your throat and called Hannibal's name nervously. Is something amiss, my dear? Hannibal affectionately asked, taking one step into the bathroom as he waited for your response. Oh, no, not at all. You answered hastily. I was just wondering if I can use some of this lavender-scented bubble bath. I don't know whose it is, but I don't want to use it without permission. Oh, Angelo mio, of course you can use some. What's ours is yours. He replied with a sweet expression, cradling the side of your cheek with his left hand as the right one delicately ran through your hair. Well, thank you very much, then. You spoke in a flustered tone. That is really kind of you. Trying to ignore your racing heartbeat, you wondered what to say next, feeling awkward once again due to not wanting to say the wrong thing. On the contrary, it's the least thing we can do, considering you live here now. Hannibal pleasantly reminding you, snapping you out of your entranced state. Okay, this is a flashback, I believe. So basically, I'm not going to read all this because I read it before, but basically it says, they made her agree to something that she did not want to agree on, or else it would cost her mother's life or mother's suffering. And that's how they literally got her to live with them. Don't know how she improved this much, because I would probably be still locked in my room like crazy. I don't know, I'd probably be dead by now, but whatever. And yeah, Hannibal kind of planned the whole thing after something, I think it's pretty stupid. Anywho, continuing on. YN? Hannibal's concerned voice brought you back to the present. The past events still somewhat traumatizing you. I think I'm going to take my bath now. You stammered slightly, your tone wobbly while you took a few steps backwards. Thanks again for letting me use this. I understand. He dipped his head and shot you yet again of one of his loving smiles, raising his hand as a fond wave and acting refined like always. I wish you have a peaceful time in here then. After that, the psychiatrist left you alone with your painful thoughts, your mood plummeting down exponentially. So that was interesting. As y'all know, it is what it is. It's a little crazy up in here. I'm kind of surprised she's being a bit nicer to them. Other than Jason. Jason is the baby up in here. He's my favorite because, you know, he didn't do all this crappy stuff. And Norman is my favorite as well. You know how it is. Anywho, it's getting there. I thought this chapter's kind of, I don't know if it's going to be the next chapter or not. I don't want to spoil it. But something might or might not happen that involves Hannibal and his meat obsessions. Cannibal, hello. And hopefully you get that, you know, kind of wired up in your brains. Because we might see that in the next couple of chapters. I'm super excited for that. And kind of like, ugh, for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like 50-50 on me. But anyways, enough of me ranting. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Is she just going to sit in the bath, like, and just kind of drain her emotions with the bath as well? Is she going to eventually go to Mikael, or either one, apologize, or two, communicate in some way or form? Well, okay, so this is kind of a very far, like, this is like basically placed, like, this is a question like revolving the whole 1 and 2 book that they have for this whole series, or fan fiction, where there's this book and then there's a sequel to it as well. If you've read that already, if you read this book or something like that. If you haven't, it's okay. You could just make your input through this. My question was in my head, now it disappeared. Okay, I think it now reappeared. Okay, so basically my question is, do you think Ryan will eventually realize that they are trying to manipulate her, or basically are manipulating her, but she realizes so late that she's in a little bit too deep? So let me know what you guys think. I think, yeah, she'll probably realize it way later on. Super late. Because, you know, I don't know how she hasn't realized it with Freddy. Because Freddy be like that, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty obvious with Freddy. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Because it's a pretty hard question. Considering you have to think about the past events, the current events, and the current situation that RYN is in right now. It isn't too bad of a situation like it was in the other chapters, but you have to consider all of them, every single one of them. Eventually we'll reach the end of this book, but that'll be probably the way future. So yeah. Anyways, getting out of that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more and amazing videos, y'all. I am just so happy. Just school is over. Hopefully I'll be able to make more cosplay videos, more lives, and everything like that. Because you know how your girl is. You know how your girl is. She a little crazy. But your girl sadly got to go. I shall see y'all later in the future's video. And remember to let me know what you guys think is going to happen next in the comments. Bye and peace.